Mammals, fish, and other wildlife depend on estuarine habitats as places to live, feed, and reproduce. Many marine organisms, including the most commercially important species of fish, depend on estuaries. Because many species of fish and wildlife rely on these sheltered waters of estuaries as protected spawning places, estuaries are often called the nursery of the seas. Recreational opportunities are plentiful on and along the creek. Canoes and kayaks can be rented from the ranger station. Enjoy a ranger-guided paddle on the still waters of the creek every Wednesday, 9 a.m. to learn more about the creatures found here. Close your eyes and listen. Do you hear any wildlife? Maybe a banded kingfisher calling out while heading to its favorite fishing hole, or the splash of a mullet reaching the surface before splashdown. Continue along the trail to higher, sunnier grounds.
In damp, shady places, ferns are the most common ground cover. Ferns are one of the oldest groups of living land plants and were most abundant during the formation of the cool beds 300 million years ago. Ferns do not produce buds or flowers. They reproduce by spores, which appear as a rust-covered. Ferns do not produce buds or flowers. They reproduce by spores, which appear as rust-colored spots on the other side of the leaf or on separate stems. These spores are very small and be carried by the wind for many miles. Look along the creek bank for giant leather ferns, and on the rough bark for withered resurrection fern, which revive after rain. Daintily powdered bracken ferns line the trailside, and serpent ferns may lurk on sable ponds. Look along the creek bank for giant leather ferns. Look along the creek bank for giant leather ferns, and on rough bark for withered resurrection ferns, which revive after the rain. Daintily patterned bracken ferns line the trailside, and serpent ferns may lurk on the sable palms.
Welcome to the Lester Finley Barrier-Free Nature Trail. This trail meanders along the black, water-tidal estuary named South Creek. Wondering about Lester Finley? He was a young volunteer who lost his sight. Then he lost his life to a hit-and-run driver. But Lester left a wish, a trail that anyone, no matter what their abilities, could enjoy. His parents brought this wish and a memorial fund to the park manager. The Friends of Oscar Scheer Park and other volunteers took on the planning and the physical work, along with some students from Pineview and Oak Park schools. Money to buy the speaker boxes, lumber, and other materials came from the Venice Foundation, the Community Foundation of Sarasota County, Friends of Oscar Scheer Park Incorporated, private donations, and environmental education funds from Florida's Save the Panther and Manatee license plate. The Lester Finley Trail opened in 1996 and was one of the first barrier-free trails in the state and has paved the way for more opportunities for accessible recreation throughout the Florida Park Service. During your visit with us, check out our other barrier-free trails along Lake Osprey or our accessible kayak launch. On behalf of the Department of Florida Protection, this is volunteer Michelle Krumholtz.